quite a lot of books for 1 month, right? Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today is my December 2022 TBR, and it's going to be the last TBR on this channel, potentially for quite some time. I will talk more about it in my 2023 intentions video, but I am planning for next year not to set monthly TBRs, which is quite a drastic change if you've been on this channel for any length of time, because I'm usually somebody who likes a TBR, likes a plan. I really like filming TBR videos, but I've noticed, and like I said, I'll talk about this more, this is like the short version. I just noticed this year that the best reading months that I've had, I've not had a TBR. So I've kind of got one like greatest hits of 2022 TBR, and then after that we will see what 2023 brings in terms of reading plans. So I have got a lot of books. There's a massive stack of books here to talk about. I'm also, at the time of filming this, I'm filming this on the 3rd of December, I've almost finished 2 of them already. And I'm well aware that this is going to go up really late. I wasn't going to do one, or I was going to put it in my December wrap-up vlog, but there were quite a few of you very vocal on Instagram, which I will link in the description if you're not following me there. I'm very active there, who very much wanted this video, even if it was going to be late. So here we are. Quick disclaimer before we get started properly. I have a cat who's asleep over there. There's one on the windowsill and there's one doing zoomies. So apologies in advance for the chaos that is about to unfold. So like I said, this is kind of a greatest hits of 2022 TBR. This year I've had so much fun with having various different people choose TBRs for me, playing different games, using scavenger hunts, all of that kind of thing. And so I've basically picked one book from each month, from like each way that I've chosen my TBR each month. That will become more clearer as we go through, and I've got my list because I will never remember it. Plus I've got 2 rereads and an arc. So let's get on with it, because I feel like this video is going to be super long. So the first reread that I've got was my official reread for this month, which I've actually, at the time of filming this, nearly finished it. And that is Dissolution by CJ Sampson. This is the first in the Fireside Lake series. The rest of it is there. We love this series on this channel, but I've not reread it since I first read it a couple of years ago. I think it was about 4 years ago. So this is historical fiction. We are following Fireside Lake. He is a lawyer. We are in the time of Henry VIII. This starts just after the execution of Anne Boleyn and the death of Jane Seymour. And he is sent to a monastery to investigate the murder of one of Cromwell's agents, who has gone out there to sort out the dissolution of the monastery and has been found decapitated. And Matthew is sent to look into that murder and kind of work out what's going on. And yeah, I just love this whole series. This is not a wrap up. This is just the TBR. So yeah, this is historical mystery series I love. It's definitely a comfort reread, and it's the last of the books I put on my reread TBR, and so that was for December. Then the other book that I'm going to reread in December is one I reread every year on Christmas Eve. It's part of my like Christmas traditions, and that is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. So I reread this on Christmas Eve for 2 reasons. One, I've just always done it on Christmas Eve. The story is set on Christmas Eve, for anyone that's not aware. And 2, since I've become a teacher, I teach this to my year 10s because it's the GCSE 19th century text. And it's kind of a way for me to reclaim it from work, basically, because obviously for work, I have to, first of all, drag a whole bunch of 15-year-olds through Dickens' text, which is not always the most fun. And also, I then have to get them to study it and analyse it and all that stuff. So it's nice for me to just curl up on Christmas Eve with this and like reclaim it from work. Anyone who doesn't know this story, I'm sure you probably do. We follow Scrooge. He's a horrible man. He is visited by 4 ghosts. The first one is his friend Marley, who's been dead 8 years. Who warns him that if Scrooge doesn't change his ways, he will end up like Marley has, kind of wandering forever, never able to rest. And then we have 3 ghosts who appear: the ghost of Christmas past, the ghost of Christmas present, and the ghost of Christmas yet to come. And they teach him a whole bunch of lessons, and by the end, he's a changed man. So yeah, I'm going to curl up with this beautiful little edition. I love this edition. This is the, I always get asked, so what edition is this? This is Penguin. I'm going to curl up with this on Christmas Eve and have a lovely time. This is the special Puffin Classics edition. I've got quite a few books in these editions and they're so pretty. So that is my other reread. Then the arc that I got for the month, this obviously comes out in January, which is why I'm reading it now. This is A Girlhood, A Letter to My Transgender Daughter by Carolyn Hayes. This was very kindly sent to me by Book Break in exchange for an honest review. That is what the actual finished cover will look like. So cool. And this is about Caroline Hayes and her daughter is trans, and they were living, I feel like it was like Texas or one of the red states, and moved. So they were in the Republican state, and they had to move to a more trans accepting state so that her daughter could live her life. And yeah, I feel like this is going to be really emotional and interesting and important. So yes, that will be my arc that I'm reading this month. And then we're getting into the actual like greatest hits of 2022 TBR. So in January, the lovely Chloe from Chloe Reads Books set my TBR. And when I do my like 2023, I'm going to do like a 2022 like wrap up video. We're going to talk about stats and stuff, and I will let you know which was the most successful reading month in terms of number of books read and quality of the books. But I feel like January was a really good month. She picked my TBR for me. I'll also leave the playlist for TBR videos in the description, so you can go and watch those if you want to see everything that she chose. But she picked my books for me. So I obviously sent her a message, as I did other people, when I was setting this up, and sent her a picture of my TBR, and she chose The Nothing Man by Catherine Ryan Howard. This was gifted. Was this Marlene sent this to me? Yes, it was. So thank you very much, Marlene. As you can see, I'm like nearly halfway through it. Really enjoying it so far. Spoiler for my wrap up. And this, as it says on the front, 2 stories, 1 killer, no mercy. This is a thriller, and we've got Jewel. There's like 2 stories within this. So we're following Eve, whose entire family was slaughtered by the Nothing Man, who was a serial killer. She survived by hiding, and she's telling her story and looking at his other crimes. So it kind of feels like a true crime book. And then at the same time, you're following Jim. He's a security guard at a supermarket, and he sees this book, her book published, The Nothing Man, and he is horrified because he was the Nothing Man and he's never been caught. So you're also following him reading Eve's story and his life and his kind of inner thoughts. And I'm so gripped right now. I'm really enjoying it. So that's the one that Chloe picked. Then the lovely Harry, lovely spouse Harry, husband to Leanne, at least versions. He picked my February TBR, and again, everything is linked in the description. So I sent him a picture of my TBR, and he chose Stillhouse Lake by Rachel Kane. I'm really excited for this. Leanne actually recommended this to me. Also feel like this was gifted. Yes, it was. It's from lovely Laura, from Laura and Her Bookish Thoughts. And the killing didn't stop when they caught her husband. I think this is a woman whose husband was a serial killer and she didn't know about it, but people think she knew about it, something like that. And then someone crashes a car outside their house or something, and then the killings start again, basically, but her husband's in prison, so it can't be him. I think that's the vibe. I mean, this cover is so brilliantly creepy. It's one of the kind of annoying like Amazon covers, so you can see every single smudge. It's also weirdly heavy, but I am excited for this, and I'm so pleased that Harry picked it. Then in March and in April, I didn't have TBRs. There were no TBR months. I was basically trying to catch up on my oldest books on my TBR and try and get some of those cleared down, which worked really well. So for March and April, I've just picked the next 2 books on my TBR. For those of you who don't know, I keep track in my notebook of when books come in so that I know what's the oldest and what's the newest, and I also have them lined up on my TBR shelf in the age that they came in the order that they came in. So I've just picked the next 2. So for March, I have got A Keeper by Graham Norton. I'm super intrigued by this. I've never read a Graham Norton book. They get really hyped on Booktube. This was also gifted to me. A lot of these were gifted, so thank you so much. This was from Sheila at SS Loves Books, from the Secret Santa that I organised last year, Book of Secret Santa. And this is about a woman whose mother dies, and she goes to clear out her home, goes back to Ireland to clear out her mother's home, and then finds a series of letters, and it's about her mother's story and then I think her story as well. So I'm really intrigued by this. I've heard really good things. I think this is his debut, which is why I picked it. So yeah, we will see what that's like. And then for April, I have picked One of Us, and I'm definitely going to say this wrong. Asni Siristat, something like that. I will definitely check how to say it before I do the review. And I can literally hear Kaz from Cats and Camera like shrieking that I'm finally picking this up because she's been on me for ages. This was also gifted to me by Joe, lovely Joe, when it says cool, it's an early Christmas present, so you can see why these are like the oldest books on my TBR. And this is all around the crimes of Anders Behring Breivik, who killed 77 children or teenagers on the 22nd of July 2011, and this is about what happened. So this is true crime. And it says, one of us is the definitive account of the massacres and the subsequent trial, but more than that, it is the compelling story of Anders Breivik and a select group of his victims. As we follow the path of their inevitable collision, it becomes clear just what was lost in that one day. So I'm not gonna lie, I'm quite intimidated by this. It's massive, the text is tiny, and it's well over 500 pages, but I am very intrigued. That case was really, really shocking, and I'm interested to see what this author can kind of tell us about it. So yeah, that is my April book. Then for May, I used a scavenger hunt. That was really, really, really fun. I did a scavenger hunt TBR. So I asked on Instagram for scavenger hunt prompts, and the first one that came up was foiling on the cover. And I was like, yes, because my whole plan was to, I'm gonna have to move slightly, my legs have gone dead. My whole plan was to just use the first one that came up. I've kept the others because I might do a scavenger hunt something or other next year, and they'll be really fun prompts. But the first one that came up was foiling on the cover. Unfortunately, I didn't write down who gave me that, so whoever it was, thank you very much. And the book that I decided to go for, because then I've read the complete series this year, is In the Shadow of Queens by Alison Weir. This is Tales from the Tudor Court. You've got the 6 Tudor Queens series there, which I've read the whole of this year. And then these are short stories that go alongside those. So I was like, I have to read this book before the end of the year. And I'm really excited for this. This, like I said, is 13 Tales from the Heart of the Tudor Court. And yeah, it says, played out in glittering palaces and whispering courts, these are the tales of the people who loved and served these women and those who lied and betrayed them. So yeah, I'm very excited for this. I bought this myself. I pre-ordered this for when it came out in paperback. The hardbacks are so beautiful, but they're in paperback. I can't have this in hardback. You see where I'm going with this. So yes, that will be my May pick. Then in June, my lovely brother Ben chose my books for me. That was a really good reading month. And when I sent him a message being like, oh, could you pick a book from my TBR? He messaged back being like, no, but I'm going to send you some Christmas books and you can choose one of those, because he thinks it's hilarious that I don't read Christmas books. If you saw my November wrap up, which I will pop in the description, you'll have seen the books that he sent me. He absolutely nailed the brief. I'm definitely going to read this one, and then I'm hoping to read the other 2 because they were really short as well. One was a play. Oh, I'm going to have to move again. But this one I'm really, really excited for, and I'm gonna save it, I think, for Christmas week, because it's Agatha Christie's Midwinter Murder. How stunning is this? I was so chuffed when he sent me this. It's always beautiful. And this is Fireside Mysteries from the Queen of Crime. I'm just going to read you the back because this is the bit I was like, I'm so excited for this. Deadly snowdrifts and dangerous gifts, poisoned meals and mysterious guests. This new compendium of seasonal short stories, featuring some of Agatha Christie's most famous detectives, is perfect for reading in front of a crackling fire when the days are growing shorter, there's a chill in the air, and murder is never far away. I was like, that sounds so perfect. When he said he sent me some Christmas books, I was a little bit worried, because I know lots of people get so much joy out of the rom-com-y, Christmas cupcake cafe whatever. That's great, but I've never found one that interested me. But this is perfect for me, and it's so pretty, and I'm so excited to read it. So I'm very, very hyped for that one. Then in July, Twitter chose my TBR, so I went back onto Twitter and I asked them to give me a number between 1 and 40. Which is how I did my TBR back in July, and the first number that came up was 10, so that was the one that I picked. I did keep the others, again, because I might need them next year. And the book that correlated to on my TBR was The Maid by Nita Prose. I'm very excited for this. Beautiful, beautiful hardback. Who sent me this? Because I'm so lucky. Yeah, this is from Sue, Read Along with Sue. I love this one, so I just had to get this off your wish list. So thank you again, Sue. I'm very excited for this. And we are following a maid who finds a dead body in one of the rooms that she's cleaning. That's all I really know about it. That's all I really want to know. I'm excited to give this a try. So this is historical fiction, because I think we're in the 1930s maybe, from the vibe of the cover. But I don't really want to know any more than that. We'll just dive into this. So yes, beautiful book. So many pretty books. And then what we're doing for August. So in August, Instagram controlled my TBR. So I went back onto Instagram and I asked for a letter from A to Z. Give me a letter of the alphabet. The first one that popped up was A, and then I really struggled. So we have stretched this prompt so thinly you can see through it. Okay. In my defense, the next letter that came up was S, And this has got both, but a different way round. This is Acre by Andrew Michael Hurley, and my lovely friend Steph got me this for my birthday and said it was really, really good. So it's got the A and it's got the S. We're gonna leave it at that. I'm not much sure about what this is about. I think she said it was gothic and creepy. The worst possible thing has happened. Richard and Juliet Willoughby's son, Ewan, has died suddenly at the age of 5. Acre, their house by the moors, was to be full of life, but is now a haunted place. Juliet, convinced Ewan still lives there in some form, seeks the help of the Beacons, a seemingly benevolent group of occultists. Richard, trying to keep the boy out of his mind, has turned his attention to the field opposite the house, where he partially digs the barren dirt in search of a legendary oak tree. Acre is a novel about the way in which grief splits the world in two, and how, in searching for hope, we can so easily unearth horror. So yeah, I feel like this is going to be quite tough reading, but I'm intrigued, and it's not often that Steph directly recommends me a book, so we will give that a go. And this cover is intriguing. I'm so intrigued. Okay, we're already 15 minutes in, so let's keep going, and now my stomach is also rumbling. In September, I did Rainbow Spines, which was really fun. I really enjoyed putting that TBR together. The actual reading month was terrible, easily the worst month of the year in terms of how much I was reading, but it was also the first month I was going back to school, so I don't really know what I thought was going to happen. So I got a random colour generator, which I will also put in the description, and the first colour that came up was blue, and I was looking on my shelves and I was like, it's going to have to be this one because it's like the bluest cover, and that is Frozen Charlotte by Alex Bell. I've heard so many people talk about this. Some people love it, some people think it's total trash. Juno Dawson on the back says deliciously creepy. This cover is terrifying. We're waiting for you to come and play. I want to read this. So somebody sent me this, but I don't know that the gift note's still in it, which is annoying. Or was it Chloe? Chloe at Chloe Reads Books might have sent me this as part of my Christmas present last year. I can't remember because I'm a terrible person. Either way, I'm excited to read this. I'm not going to read the whole thing on the back. It just says, the girl with a room full of antique dolls, the girl that shouldn't be there, the girl that died. So I'm intrigued. I feel like it's going to be a creepy gothic time. Then in October, we did the autumn mixtape, which was just so much fun. I loved the prompts for that readathon. My favourite prompt for the readathon was WITCH, so woman in total control of herself. It was also our split prompt. You could also read a witchy book. And I feel like this book covers both of those. This is Cunning Women by Elizabeth Lee. I've got hiccups as well now. Look at this beautiful cover. Was this gifted or did I buy this? I think I bought this whilst I was in Edinburgh with Leanne, I think. I might be totally wrong. Again, this is historical fiction. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but when a new magistrate arrives to investigate a spate of strange deaths, his gaze inevitably turns to Sarah and her family. In a world where cunning women are forced into darkness by powerful men, can Sarah reckon with her fate to protect all she holds dear? So I feel like this is going to be, as it says on the front, when women are cast out, they must find their own power. So I feel like it's going to be a WITCH book and also potentially witchy as well. So it covers off both sides of that prompt. And then finally, in November, we had emojis, so that was really fun. I really enjoyed making that video. So I went onto the random emoji generator, which I will also leave in the description, and the first thing that popped up was a lion, and I was like, okay. Looked at my shelves and nothing anywhere with a lion on the cover or mentions a lion, or even, I don't really have many books that refer to animals, and I was like, okay, how else could I interpret lion? And I was like, well, when I think of lion, I think of bravery, and so I've gone for Things We Say in the Dark by Kirsty Logan, because I feel like this is going to be really creepy and I'm going to have to be brave to read them. Can you see how I've stretched that prompt? Anyway, so it says a brilliant collection of short stories, all will burrow their way into your brain and not let go. And that's really all I want to know. The lovely Marianne from Copper Books sent me this because I feel like she had a duplicate. I think she had a copy and then she won a copy or something. So she sent this my way, which is really, really kind of her. And it says, these dark tales explore women's fears with electrifying honesty and invention and speak to one another about female bodies, domestic claustrophobia, desire and violence. So I feel like I'm going to have to be super brave, like a lion, to read these creepy little stories. So, that was long. It's a big TBR. I do have 2 weeks off at the end of the month though, because we have the Christmas holidays. So I feel like this should be doable. But we will see. I'll have to watch my December wrap up to see how I went. But I feel like this is a good TBR. We've got a good mix of stuff. You know, we've got some thrillers, we've got some historical fiction, we've got some non-fiction, we've got a classic in there. it's gonna be a good time, I think. I hope, anyway. We'll find out, won't we? So I have talked at you for like 20 minutes now, so that's probably enough for one day. If you got to this point in the video, leave me the lion emoji, because like I said, I'm going to have to be very brave, I think, to read these creepy stories. Please subscribe if you would like more of this chaos, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks everyone. Bye.